So everyone are able to see my computer? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So today's topic is about software testing overview, SDLC, some principles of testing, SDLC, which is software testing life cycle, and also the difference between software development life cycle and software testing life cycle. Different types of testing, software testing methods, software testing levels, and also software testing documents, what all documents you require, and about the defect management process and our some interview questions. Okay. So now coming to the first point, what is software testing? So anyone, like, why we do software testing, why it is required, some overview of software testing. So can anyone answer, like, why we do software testing, why it is required?
The main purpose of software testing is to identify the bugs and to deliver the software with minimum defect to the customer to increase the quality of the product.
Correct. Very well said. Anyone else want to answer?
Before delivering the quality product to the end user, we have to make sure it is bug free. So the testing is very essential for that.
Correct. Correct. Shruti. Correct, Sayed. Anyone else?
Is it to
Also
verify
to
if the
I
application or the website is behaving as it expected or not?
Correct. Correct. Yes, Alap.
also to identify, like, verify if the software is acting as per the requirement.
Correct, the requirements. Correct. Correct. Yes. Very good. Anyone else? Munali has said correctly. Yeah. Anyone else?
When software is designed, the actual result of the software is, very much closer to the expected results. And if it's not, then there must be some defects. So we need to identify those defects and we need to bring them, equal to zero, as low as possible. So that is, main, that's why testing is done.
Correct. Very good. Very good. So these are the points, like first thing is to find the defects. Correct. So find the defects finding is the main job of a tester. Correct. So next point is to give the good quality product. So why testers is required? Because developers have their own baby. So it is difficult to find defects in their own code. Correct. So it is important to bring someone who is not into that code, not related to or not involved in coding, and then you find some defect, because finding defect in others' work is very interesting job, right? So that's why testers bring into testers came into that project, that find the defects of other code, other people code, developers code. Correct. So that's why
Yes.
Testers have brought into the project, and they are meant to find the defects in the coding what developers has done. Okay, and that is our main purpose. Next thing is to give the good quality code to the client, which is very essential, so that client will be happy. Right. So client give you more work. Right. Third point is whatever requirement they have given, we should deliver the same type of product. So expected and actual result should be more closer. You cannot say that whatever they expect we deliver 100%, but it should be more and more closer to what they are expecting. Okay, and always try to give them a good quality product, bug-free product, which is Also, like bug-free product is not possible. As we have learning principles of testing, we will see that bug-free product is a myth. But still, we have to, our aim, the tester's aim is to give a good quality product to the client so that we get good business from the client. Okay. Now, there are in software testing overview, introduction of software testing is done. Like why testing is important, that is also we have covered. Why software testing is important. Okay, there's 2 points, similar points. So who does testing? Okay, this point is left. So according to you, who do the testing? Anyone?
Firstly, the developer do
Hmm.
that from their side, but if they, as you said earlier, it's the product is their baby, so they may find it correctly or not. So then the job of tester starts that to meet up the requirement of the client. So the
Correct.
tester and developer.
Correct. Anyone else? Yes, Krishna, you have some doubt? Krishna Rajput, you have raised your hand. You have raised your hand.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Krishna.
Yeah, the real-time user is also the tester.
Real-time user. Real-time,
Yeah.
yeah, that is like UAT testing, correct. So that will also be a tester, correct. Anyone else?
Yeah, there are different type of
So-
testers. Like some are in-house testers, some are outsourced testers, some are actual users are testers. So there are different types of testers, and the project and the software is tested through all of these, or some of these, or maybe 2 of these. So
Correct.
there are multiple types of testers.
Yes, I agree. Yes, anyone else?
So whoever is in the project, everybody does their part of testing. So
Correct.
other than developers and testers, other people who are involved in the project will also be doing their part of testing.
Correct. Correct.
In my points of view, testing can be done with different stakeholders. It starts initially when the developer develop the codes, they do testing, unit testing. And as soon as definitely the software build, then it goes to the QA tester that they test in their points of view to see that the application behaves based on the requirement or not. Then after that, the end user, like we have alpha testing, beta testing, which like acceptance testing based on real scenario situation that they test and to find the behavior of the application based on their expectation.
Okay, yeah. So some people are facing some issue in joining the class. Everyone has joined, Shweta, Krishna. Any problem in joining the class? Okay, I got
No, madam.
Yes, ma'am, I'm joining.
you joined it now. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. We already joined and we are listening.
Okay, great. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I just saw the message, so I thought I'll ask. Okay. So, yes, so everyone is correct because everyone who has involved in the project is a part of testing people. Okay. Why? Because even the managers, leaders, BAs, whoever is involved in that project, they are doing their own sort of testing. Like developers, they are doing their unit testing and then only give it to the testers. Okay, tester doing their system testing, functional testing, all types of testing which they have given to
Integration testing also.
correct integration testing.
Yes,
All those testing is
okay.
done by the testers.
Testers.
But like exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is done by the managers or BAs. What that means is they have the knowledge of like domain knowledge, correct? So they have their own domain knowledge. So they will check that whether that part of work is working properly or not. Okay, so they have their own knowledge. So they do their own type of testing. So if someone asks you in the interview that who does the testing, your answer should be each and every person who have involved in the project do their own part of testing. Like developers do their unit testing, testers do their own system testing, and the managers and all the other BAs will do the exploratory testing. And then when the product is ready, when it is delivered to the client, they do their unit UAT testing, user acceptance testing, and then beta testing is involved in that, alpha, that we will learn later. So all type of testing is done by all the different people who have involved in the project.
Project.
Yes. So everyone do their own part of testing. Okay. So clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Any doubt in this? What is software testing overview? Why we do testing? Why it is important? So like to give the good quality product. Why it is important? Because we need a good quality product to the, we need to serve a good quality product to the client and find the defects in the product. We are aim, like testers main aim is what? To find the defects, bugs,
Yeah.
bugs in the system. Our
System.
main aim is like that. So functionality wise, whether this application is working fine or not, functionality wise, after integration of two modules, whether it is working fine or not. So those things will be checked by testers. Okay. You can ask doubt at any point of time because doubts are always welcome. Okay. I don't want anyone to be blank or not understanding anything, and then I am just moving ahead and giving you all the information. So please stop me if you have any type of doubt. Okay. Okay. Next point is SDLC. Anyone know about what is SDLC? Anyone has worked or
The software development life cycle.
correct?
This is the life cycle that follows
the step by step.
Yes, how the software is developed.
Correct. Correct. So, and so these are all the phases, different phases of software. Why we do software development life cycle? Because this is a process. Okay. Process of how our project will be proceeding. When we get a project, I mean, some first BA will ask you, like, a BA's job is to get the project. They tell that we have a good team, we are able to perform well, and we are able to perform what requirements you have, and you can give us the project. So this is the work of BA. Now the project is in our hand. So now we start our software development life cycle. So how we develop that software which BA has taken for our company. Okay. So now our job is like how to analyze that requirement. So who will give you the requirement analysis? Who will give you the requirement analysis? Mostly this is a job of BA, correct?
BA.
Correctly, that this is the job of BA. So all the requirement analysis and what all requirement we have gathering, or you can say, all the information, all the documents, you say what all documents is required, like specification, like software development specification, and whatever you can say to that document. Okay, different company says different names of that document. Either they say requirement document, they say some requirement analysis specification or anything they can say, but the
The
thing is-
FRS also.
yeah, correct, correct. So what is
The
SRS.
FRS.
system requirement, what is that SRS?
Specification.
Specification, correct. So
Specification.
SRS is what? Software requirement specification. So
Yes,
different
ma'am.
company says different names, but the overall meaning is same, that this is the requirement document.
Requirement.
Correct. So we have to analyze those requirements. Then what we have to do, first phase is analyzing. Second is defining. What is defining? In the defining phase, what we do?
In defining phase, we define the planning, we made the
Planning and
plan.
analyzing.
Correct, correct. Again, we are planning that how the which part of which module will go to which people, all the how many people are required for this project, how many testers are required for this project, how many developers are required for this process, how many BAs are required for this process. Okay, so all these are defined in this phase. Okay, everything is defined like defined over like high level planning is done in this phase. Okay, now once we have defined and collected all the people in our project, now comes the designing. So high level designing will come in this process, like what all classes we have to define, what all how many areas we have to define, how many models we have to modules we have to define in this particular project. Whether it is like, suppose if it is a banking module, banking project, then it will be like one module will be fees module, administration module, then it is like a credit card module, or any module, whatever according to the project or according to the requirement, we have to differentiate and we have to assign people to develop that particular areas. Correct. So we have to do the designing part. We have to do high level designing, that how this coding will be executed. Okay, how we will start our
Coding part.
How we'll start our, in which phase we will be starting our testing part. So all those things.
Data setup.
Yeah, it is data setup also included in this. Okay, so each and everything will be defined in this designing part. Okay, then once the high level design is done, then we start our coding. Okay, now coding is done by the developers, senior developers, junior developers. We start.
Sorry, madam, I got a question. What do you mean by high designing?
High level designing.
High level designing.
High level
yes.
designing is when we start our project. Correct. When we start our project, we design. We do our designing as in like
As a road design.
Correct. Anyone wants to answer this question? Krishna, you have answer for this?
Yeah, before client come to me, like he told us what he need, and the like manager or anyone write down it, and after it design team. Uh, I know this question, but I don't know how to.
Correct. Like designing team will tell you that which part. Have you?
Like
have
first we note roughly, and after it in designing code we write down it, so little bit.
Correct. So this is how we design our I will let you know about
Detailed description, madam, detailed description.
detailed description, correct? Detailed description is also part of the, you can say, part of the designing.
And planning about which software.
Example, the civil engineer do the design the first,
Correct.
for the building plan.
And the
Correct.
planning about which software we need for to complete that application.
Hmm.
Can
Correct.
I ask, ma'am?
Yes, you can.
First we note down client's requirement roughly, and after it we design its requirement like in code language.
Correct. So, see, high level design means what all different, even though you will have to design the classes, how many classes you have to define in your coding part, how many parent class, the child class, how you will define all those things, how you link all those things. All these things will be a high level design for any project.
So this is done by manager, the high level.
This is done by the high level designing done
It's
by
a different tip. Is a different thing.
Management
I mean,
team, the kick-off meeting will be there in the starting.
architecture. They do all the high level design, that this is the way your project should go. Identify the business problems. How you
This
will
is
write
designed by. This is designed at the time of kick-off meeting.
Kickoff meeting.
The starting period.
Yes, correct. So there's one person who is involved is architecture. Architecture is also the person.
They do design on their on mine, right? I mean, is it on?
Ma'am, is this design presented by BA or Scrum Master, or who's responsible for presenting this design?
Yeah, that's what I said, that
At this time, all the people will be there. BAs, architects.
No, only high level people like managers, leaders. They are only involved in the architecture,
clients.
like high level designing of the. They just follow the process, like just developers and junior developers. They only follow what the architecture told them to design in such a way. Okay, I'm just searching some good way of telling you the how designer part. Anybody
Hello, ma'am.
else?
Can I have a second here? Can I have a second here?
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, I am the beginner for this course. So I see like the students are more pros than you. It seems like that. So I'm getting confused. Please let me speak ma'am here, and later in the revision section, everybody can put their things. So I am totally getting confused here.
Yeah, see, everybody has their own knowledge. So I just wanted
knowledge,
them.
It's sharing. It's very good, very good. The sharing is very good. But I'm just trying to listening to you in the serial way,
Yes. So we are going in a serial way only. We are talking about the project, how we are getting the
this
project.
thing is bothering me. So please, I just want to with you now, concentrate with you, and later everybody can put their views.
Okay.
It seems like what I'm doing, I'm totally confused.
Okay, what confusion you have, Divakar? Can I know?
Nothing. Just like with the
which topic you
with
got
the conversation, with only the conversation.
Okay.
I just want to
I
focus
think
with you
he's
now,
trying to say is
Mhm.
finish as a topic and then give him opportunity to everyone to speak or ask questions instead of interrupting you every minute of the game.
But I just wanted everyone to share their knowledge in the particular field. If they have some knowledge, I mean, if they have some good points in requirement analysis, defining. See, this is a phases. So if they have
Yeah.
some knowledge and if they have some ideas on the, so I thought I will share.
That's good,
But
ma'am. That's good. But I'm totally getting confused. So
Confused.
let you
Okay.
concentrate on the topic, and later they can add.
Okay. Okay.
No.
So
He's
any,
saying
any
the
doubts?
conversation at the end of the subject or the small
Yeah.
topic, you can ask questions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no problem. We can go like that. So any doubts, Gary or Divakar, you have for this particular topic which we have covered till now?
I
Nothing,
just joined in. I thought we are
okay.
starting at 9:30. So
Yeah. No, just we have just only started. We have just covered the SDLC part and software, what is software. So I'm just asking all the points from them only. So you are on time, don't worry. I've just started. Okay. So Divakar, you are from starting, like any
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
any
I'm
doubts you
joining
have
you.
on
Yeah.
what is
Nothing
software
till now.
testing? You? No?
Yeah, it's good. Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. So you know what can you know what is requirement analysis, defining, designing? Are you clear with that? At least coding, till coding we have done.
Yeah,
Yes?
ma'am. I'm clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about the next is when the coding of the like developers have developed their coding and now testing part is started. Like once the development is done, we do our testing part, like testing, then the tester comes into the picture. After that, testing part is completed, then the deployment. Once the testing part is done, then we deploy our code, and then we check that after deployment whether everything is working or not. So that time also testing part is come into picture. Okay. After deployment, we have maintenance. So once we deliver the code to the client after deployment, so then comes the maintenance part, whether we are whether that code is working fine or not, whether they if they after the deployment and maintenance part, when we get any defect, so that is called as UAT defect. Yeah, means user acceptance defects. Okay. When a user acceptance testing has been done or has been going on, that time if we get a defect, that is called as UAT defect, and that is like an escalation point of time, because why we have not raised those defects during our testing time. Okay, so that is like there might be a question they can ask you, that if UAT defect has come, then what should be your concern, like why, what answer you will give to the developers. All those questions will be taking care of that what answer you will give. So we'll take care of that question later point of time. So this could be a escalation point. Okay. So are you okay with all the phases? Requirement, defining, designing, coding, testing, deployment, and then comes the maintenance phase. Okay.
Shadi, can you please repeat the maintenance part alone?
Sorry, can you come again?
Yeah, Ms. Chavi, can you please repeat this maintenance part alone? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maintenance means once you have deployed the code. See, when the coder or developer do their coding part, he do the testing in their production, in their development environment. So every time we have to create an environment to do our testing, correct? So developer do their testing in the development environment. Tester do their testing in the
environment.
QA environment, correct? So they have their own environment, which and always remember that if you are doing your testing, always ask for a QA environment. Always like sometimes what the developer they give you the feature environment and they ask you to do testing in the feature environment, which is wrong. We have to ask for the QA environment and always do our testing on QA environment. Otherwise, later point of time, it will be escalated to you only. So you should always ask developers to create a QA environment, or ask your manager or ask your senior people to create a QA environment and always do testing on the QA environment. After deployment, it will be a production environment. Okay, it will be a QA environment is done. You have done your testing. Then comes the production environment. Production environment means what? You have deployed your code to a real environment, and then it will be ready for the users to use that particular product or project, whatever you have delivered. Okay, then comes the like suppose you have created some banking project, and now it is deployed. Deployed means it is ready for the use, ready for the users to use that particular project. Now what comes? Maintenance phase. So we usually, when we give our product to the client, there is a phase of like 6 months or 1 year that we give you the maintenance phase. Okay, maintenance phase means if any error or if any defect or if any problem comes while doing the testing, or maybe sometimes you have to teach them that how to use your application. Maybe sometimes user has if it is a complicated project or if it is a complicated application, user is not knowing how to use the application. So that also is done by the that is done in the maintenance phase. Okay, so you will teach them that this is how you have to use the application, and this is how, if you are done something wrong. So I have also involved in this UAT testing. So once I was in Barclays project, so they have called me for the UAT testing. So they were doing some escalation that this is a defect, this is not working as per the user requirements, what specification we have done. So I went to the client location. I explained them that this is how our application is working, and this is the way of, like it was an banking project, and in that there was a way of giving access to the people for that particular like particular area. Only few people can get access. So it's a default management process. Like default means if any other people are trying to access that application, it will give you the warning message that this is an XYZ people who are trying to access your application, and it will give you a warning message. Okay, so they were doing something like they are new to the application, right? So they were trying to access it in a wrong way, right? So that's why they are getting some issue. So so sometimes tester also have to involve in that particular system, and then go in the maintenance phase and go to the users and try to train them that how your application is going to work. So that is in the maintenance phase. Okay, so that's why always whenever client gives you the project, they ask you for the 6-month maintenance phase also. When they do the in the starting time only, they just tell that we want your help, or we want your support in the maintenance phase. So maintenance phase is basically giving support to the application after it is deployed for the client. Okay, clear everyone? Yes, Ankita, you have any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question that after completing all these stages, So is it possible to do any changes, like, for example, in the requirement analysis, we prepare the document according to the customer's requirement. So after raising that documents, is it possible to change requirement according if customer wants to change something? So is it possible or not?
Yeah, that's why agile system has come into picture, right?
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
agile methodology is that only, like when nowadays every project is agile. Previously it was like we will learn about the waterfall model and different models. So
Okay.
right now what you are saying is whether we can do it in our, whether we can change our requirement in the middle of the phase, right?
Yeah, yes.
So that we can do, but of course it is in your contract, or it should be in your project, like this is the process we are going to follow. Okay.
Okay. Means it's depend on the which method you used,
You
right?
are using, correct.
Okay. Okay.
Mostly nowadays everyone is using agile methodology. So whenever requirement has come, you have to do some changes, and then again, if the requirement has come, you have to follow the process, like coding. See, some requirement has come, new requirement has come, you have to do the coding, you have to do the testing, you have to do the deployment again. So similarly, this cycle will continue in each and every 2 weeks. So requirement comes, then you do the testing, and then you do the deployment, maybe later phase of time when you have a piece of like some set of slots of user stories. They call it as user stories. So so then deployment will be like in every 2 months or every 5 months. Yes.
Okay.
Clear your doubt,
And,
Ankita?
yes, my doubt is cleared now, but I have
Madam,
one more question.
Madam, I think some of the people are not in from, they don't have any experience in software. This domain is very familiar with me. I was involved in SCM, software configuration management and process management. So I think I like to add something to it,
Yeah,
so
sure.
they understand
You can
better.
add.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So there are, Madam was mentioning about environment. I think she was mentioning about development or coding, right? And then testing,
Yes.
and then production, right? Deployment or production. So the coding part, right? So developers who are developing the software, they are allowed to release it in the coding environment only. When I say environment, usually it's a different set of computers. Okay. They have nothing to do with testing computers, nothing to do with production computers. Okay. So that's what Madam was talking about, environment. So environment is nothing but whole bunch of computers. They act independently as if it is production system, right? But it's not. It's a developer's system. So developer can tinker with all their environments and do all those things. Unless it gets released, it doesn't go into the testing part of environment, which is another set of computers. Then it goes into the production. When it goes into the production, it passed all the testing through you. It passed through the integration testing. It passed through load testing. It passed through all sorts of testing, right? And biggest mistake most of the people make when doing these releases, and testers make, right? They don't ask the most important question: is the database changing or not? Because if the database changed, right? In the see, obviously the where the development is taking place, or programmers are doing, they're going to change the database to the current database. Otherwise, they know something is off otherwise, right? But if it goes into the testing and production and no one is, so testers will be scratching their heads all the time. So the first thing you want to do before the release is, you have to do the testing. first question you have to ask is, did the database change or not? And ask them how to verify the new database is there or not, or make sure one of the programmers checks for you, in that environment, new database is there or not. So this all comes under your responsibility, even though there's certain people in charge of doing these things. You still have to check. Otherwise, you'll be wasting the whole day, right? And the blame will go on you for not.
So we need to ask the developer.
So if you don't know how to check, right, what would you do? If you're not a coder, right, you're not a programmer, so you have to find someone who is in the development, or you just ask simple question. I don't know how to check the database. How can I know that this is the correct database that was it's in the system, right? So one of the developers or one of the persons will direct you to the right direction, basically. Either they help you themselves, or they'll tell you, go and talk to so and so person, right?
Yes. So anyone else has any very good explanation, Gary? Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yes. Anyone else, Sayed, you have any question?
Okay, let me add couple of important two things. I think you mentioned, but madam, you mentioned, but I just like to add so that people are more clear about it. So, maintenance doesn't come. So while you're doing the coding, testing, and deployment, it goes in terms of versions, right? How you have Windows, right?
Yes.
Keep on giving you versions. So
Right.
once they're satisfied, once the client is satisfied, they put a freeze on development, which means no more regular cycle, no testing, no deployments, right? Only patchworks, right? They just hand it off. So at that time, whatever the version is left off, they'll say, okay, our contract with you is over. You can hand it off to the maintenance team. So we hand off code, we hand off the procedure, we hand off the documentation, everything to the production team. Usually it's their in-house. You're a contractor, right? So usually they are in-house people. So they do simple things. They know how to use the software that you developed. They know how to maintain the software you developed, right? Sometimes, and so the maintenance, when you're doing the maintenance, it's the last. When people say the project is literally done, that's when it starts to go into so it's not like coding, testing, development, and maintenance. No, first this cycle goes on: coding, testing, development, coding, testing, development, coding, testing, development, for few cycles. Every other weekend, usually they have a release, or every weekend there is a release. Weekends they choose because the system, they can put it down in the night time. Because weekdays is a business days, right? So they cannot put it down. So usually they release on weekends. That too, close to midnight. So maintenance doesn't come into play until you're basically almost getting out of the project. Sometimes you do not have a contract for maintenance, which means you're done, literally done. They'll hand it off to a different consulting company or in-house to do the maintenance also. It can be possible. It's rare, but it's possible. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
What does he mean by the database? Is he referring to test data that is used to test a specific code or function or something? Or what else is he referring to when he use the term database?
Okay.
Do you want me to answer, ma'am?
Yeah, you can answer. Yeah.
So database, see what happens is software can be looked as just one single piece, right? But it's divided into three major pieces: backend, right? Front end, and database, where all your user data is saved. Okay. Let's say you're filling up a form, right? A form about IRS form, right? Online. So your name goes in, social security number goes in, and then your how much money you made for this pay stub goes in, and all that goes in. All that gets saved in a database, right? And all of a sudden they realize they want to add a field, right? Add a field, something like, say, when you're renting an apartment, that's tax exempt. Okay, tax exempt. So that's a new field that never was implemented in the software, right? So basically, there is a structural change to the database right now. Yes, because there is one more. If you know Excel, there's one more column to the sheet. Yes. So since there is a new data now, right? The old software doesn't understand the new database, and the new database, if it's missing it, it'll fail, right? When they're trying to do some operations, and it has access to the old database, it won't find that column where apartment rent is, deductible as a tax deductible thing. Does anyone understand what tax
Correct.
deductible
I
is?
just, yeah, I just wanted to add here, Gary.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so database, see, sometimes what happened is database for developers are different, database for the testers are different, right? So we do different set of data. So every time what developers create their own database. Okay, sometimes, like not always, but data has been created by testers also. If they want to do their own type of testing, they don't take the data, same data from the developers. No. Otherwise, what will happen? You are not able to find the defects on your application, right? You are not able to, if you are taking the same data from the developer, how you'll able to find the defects in that particular. So if suppose you are logging into the Facebook application and you are writing same set of data you are taking from the developers, how you'll find out that, how you'll try to break that system. Are you getting my point? So developer is doing the mostly they do the positive testing. They don't know how to break the system. Like if you are putting the correct data in your username, password, okay, the application will go smoothly and it will enter into the system. But what we have to do, we have to give some special character, right? We have to give long names. We have to try to break the
Negative
system.
way.
Yeah, negative way. What maybe they also do their own set of testing, but always as many projects I have done, the database for developers is different, database for testers is different, and they create their own database. Okay, of course
Yeah,
they
ma'am.
take the help of yes.
Yeah, so that was my question, was that database base of a tester is the test data that they use to test, right?
Correct. Maybe they
No,
make
I
a
think,
query, similar
And it
query.
is not necessary that it is it's same like the developer's database.
No. That's what I want
But
to say. Yeah.
yeah, but this gentleman, what he was saying, that maybe if we are introducing one more field to our database, so won't there be additional requirements, and it will take another cycle, like there is one more requirement from the client that he needs to have another column of IDs or something, and then it's going to be defined again and designed again.
Yeah, then it
so
will be
what will happen?
yeah, then it will be a change in requirement, CR, correct? So there's a CR will come, and then for that, if you wanted to add that, it will be in another story, or it will be like in another sprint, or it will be another requirement. Again, that this cycle will be going. Are you getting
So
my
Chaviji, let me add a little bit so they're more comfortable, because some people are not used to this working in real life development cycle. So what happens is just before every release, they have meetings. Okay, a developer group is there. the tester group is there, the integration team is there, process management team is there, management is there, right? And they'll discuss what all changes are happening and what all we need to pay attention to. Okay. So then they'll tell you if there is a database change, you have to put it on your notes all the way on the top saying that there is a database change. Okay. And usually it's best time to ask a question. If something fails in database, who do I contact? Right? Right. So you don't want to, when the production happens or the release happens, they'll call you. They'll say you should be available on the phone at least, when the production is going on. You cannot be asking at the last minute, who should I talk if the database is failing or something is failing. You understand? So you write down the name of the person for so-and-so piece of the project or database or test database or whatever it is, right? All the names you should write down. You should write down if the database change is taking place or not. You should take the phone number or contact number of production manager, development manager, and testing manager, test manager, right? So all these things are very important. It's just not just doing testing and you're done. So it's if you ask the right questions, the less of the blames will be on you. Let's say you don't know that there was a database change, and let's say they made a mistake and put a wrong database there, and you're spending whole day trying to figure out what am I doing wrong, right? Because you're scared. This is the first day of your work, and you're scared there, and something is going wrong, and it's not supposed to be going wrong, just because you didn't check if the database is supposed to be the right database or not, right? And there is no mistake of yours, yet people will say you wasted the whole day and you didn't tell them there is something wrong with the database. So asking the right questions, understanding how things work, you can get done a lot of things. So especially the phone numbers and contact numbers, very important. You go there, start writing. If you don't have Excel sheet, you don't have a paper pen, buy a small book and just start writing manually. Doesn't matter. Often my success rate was so high just because I kept on writing different things. So it's very important to write down, even as simple as contact. It'll take you a long way. Otherwise, you'll be running around, breaking your head for no reason. And the senior people that will be supporting you, while you're working on the project, they don't know exactly what's happening in the environment, right? They don't know who your production manager is. They don't know who your test manager is or the development manager is. So those things you have to figure it out. So writing down, structurally, properly, like you can take this chart and you just, the picture that you see on the screen right now, and you can start putting notes right next to it too. You make a printout of it. Usually when you work in a corporate, I usually buy a laser printer at home and start printing anything and everything that is important, like especially charts and all that. And then put notes around it, And it when I get stuck, I quickly can do a reference by looking at it, which I scribbled on the paper. People always leave it on the cell phone and laptops, battery dies or they cannot reach it, they're done. Or system crashed or something happened, they're done. So it's always a good investment to put it in a paper, pen and printer and things like that. You'll say, why waste money? But trust me, it's worth it. And you'll quickly grow faster in an organization by just documenting better. I personally think. Yes, Chaviji, you agree with me or no?
Yes, I agree. And we will take your help on when we are learning about the different documents required for, testing purpose. So that way you also can help on telling them that what all the documents required for the testing purpose. Okay, very good.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Gary. So moving on, database is Farhat has said the database has nothing but different type of servers. No, sir, it is not a servers. Servers are like when you deploy somewhere, like environment. So database is like a repository where you store some data. It's not servers. Okay. Shruti is asking structure like field name, table name should be same. Yeah, that also we will learn, like how we, if it is same, it will be helpful, correct? So yeah, anyone has any other question? First please, SDLC.
Yes, I have a question. So
Yes.
previously you referred to a term user stories. Would like to know about a little more about user stories. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Like, yeah, this is very important when you go for the agile testing. Okay. So right now we are not going for agile testing, but user story is nothing but the tickets which you have given to the as a requirement. So as we are doing some requirement analysis, defining, designing. So anybody wants to tell what is a user story? User story is like nothing but the requirement which you are getting from the client, like small requirements. Okay, so user story terms is basically used when you are using the agile thing. So that time you don't say that this is requirement analysis. Sorry, these are all the requirement. These are the user stories, like that. Okay. Same thing only. As I've told you, same thing, but different companies, different process takes the different name. But overall structure will be same. Okay. Any other things? Okay.
Hi, Chavi.
Yes, Saran.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Shravya. Regarding the deployment, can you explain me some real based scenario with an example so that I'm just confused about the deployment? I didn't get that.
Yeah, you will understand. We have more of examples coming on in our next segment, which is a waterfall model. Okay. Similarly, the same thing, the process which we are following, software development life cycle. This is just a different model. That's like an example, you can say. So what is waterfall model? Waterfall model is, anyone want to say what is waterfall model? I'll tell the example also after that. What example?
Is it a sequence?
It is a sequence, correct. So what is basically waterfall model is? Waterfall model is when you are done with one phase, like the requirement, design, development, all these phases are similar to what we have learned till now. But that in waterfall model, we cannot go back to our previous phase. So once the requirement phase is done and we are went to the designing phase, we cannot go back to the requirement phase. Okay. Okay. Similarly, if we are, let me explain once, then you ask questions. Okay. So, so once the designing phase is done, then only you can go to the development phase. And once you have reached to the development phase, you cannot go back to the design phase. Okay. So this is how it goes. So what is the best example for waterfall model? That is an attendance sheet. Okay, attendance system, taking attendance of students in different areas, like sometimes school. If you are doing your application, online application, like whether a student have, how many students have attended. So like for that, you can have a waterfall model. Okay, when requirement is freezed or requirement is not changing, or for any easy application of the software, we use such type of waterfall models. Okay. Anyone has any question for this particular waterfall methodology, if you have not understood?
Yes, I have a question. So you told us that the biggest drawback is that we cannot go back in this waterfall model. And most of the companies are using agile methodology because we can do it again and again. My question is, are there still companies who still uses a waterfall model? And if yes, then on what projects basically they are using waterfall model right now?
Yes, few companies are still using waterfall model, where it is used when they have a freeze requirement. Okay, some applications or some projects, they have their requirement ready. I mean, they are not going to change it when they have very easy requirement, or when they wanted to develop some project, which for that they have clear that this much only requirement we require and we don't want to change it. Okay, that point of time you uses this waterfall model, and few of the companies are still using it because it is comfortable for them, because there is no hassle, there is no, again, requirement will not be changed. Whatever the client want, they want this much requirement and you have to do it in this particular time frame. So yeah, they are using waterfall model, but only for the easy projects, like when you are you are developing that project from long time, and now this is also the similar type of projects which you are gonna develop, and you have proper requirements, you have all the requirement analysis you have done, and there is no other no additional things you wanted to add in this project. So yes, they go for the waterfall model because it is cheaper and easy to use. Okay.
Madam, can I add a couple of things?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so as Madam said, there is it's a budget model, right? So because there are some of the cycles missing in there, some of the things that we do in other types of release of development, the certain things are missing here. That's why it's cheaper thing. Usually they when they have legacy systems, does anyone know what legacy system is?
No.
Legacy system is like old way of doing things, right? Like let's say it's something was developed in C, right? And all of a sudden they decided they want to move to Java, which is the latest and greatest number of projects being done in Java, let's say, right? And now the old hardware is outdated, the software is outdated, but the client is insisting on using the same old thing, but developed with a new software or new systems, right? Then they use the waterfall system usually. And the customer is also want to be budget friendly. He doesn't have too much budget to spend on. They just want to replicate what was there into a new way of doing things. Sometimes they go into cloud systems, let's say, right? Does anyone know what cloud system is?
No.
So cloud system is like shared. Instead of using one computer or one server, they have a whole bunch of. I'm sorry.
Well, so what do you have to say? Do you believe you're the biggest heroine in Bollywood today?
I think some back noise.
I think there's some background noise. So, yeah. Yes.
Can you please mute somebody?
Yeah. So the cloud systems are basically where a whole bunch of computers work together as if it is a one server. You see. So AWS, which is Amazon's services, right? They provide cloud services, right? Instead of having one computer that has a lot of power, lot of data space, a lot of processing power, they'll use whole bunch of chips, whole bunch of hardware. But it seems like you're working on one computer. So that's cloud system basically. And sometimes all these chips and all can be in different locations too. One in Arizona, one is in Texas. Doesn't matter. But it seems like it's working one computer, one place. The power is coming from. So those are cloud systems. So usually when they're migrating, and the customer already has a legacy project, which is like old software, old system, they migrate to a new one. They just don't want to change any requirement, because they change requirements, which means more money. And some people are not ready with spending that much money. Project can be as much as 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the money. Let's say it's a $500,000 project. All of a sudden it became $2 million. That's the reason why they don't, some people like Waterfall if they already are used to some legacy system. Sheviji, वो सही है ना?
Yes, yes, yes. Very good.
Okay.
And ma'am, can I also give an example of waterfall method
Yes,
where
yes.
it is still used? Like
Yes,
if
Aruba.
it's a small business point of sale, they use this method usually because they just have similar requirements and they get everything done once and then they keep on using that. So everything is done once. They don't have any change of requirements very frequently or anything. So this is, and they have a very limited budget. So this is done, in a sequential method and in a very limited cost. So this applies there as well.
Correct. Correct, Aruba. Very good. Very correctly said. Very correctly said, Gary.
Can I say something, ma'am?
Yes, Krishna. You have raised
Yeah.
your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. When the client's requirement is very clear and it's long-term requirement, then we use waterfall model.
Correct. Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, Vishru, you have something? You have raised your hand.
Yes. Yeah, I just saw the comment of Shruti that in waterfall model, it's more about documentation. My question is, so agile method does not have much documentation? Do they not
No,
require that much?
that doesn't mean that. Even the agile has a lot of documentation. Every story has their own requirements, and then documentation play a major role in every model, like each and every model. So that is correct. But yeah, here
That's
also,
basically requirements.
yeah, that is
I mean,
basically requirements, right?
requirements.
So every
Yeah.
projects, every requirements have the documents is necessary, because then only you come to know that what
The
is the
project.
requirement phase, right? So documentation is the major part for each and every model. So right, Shruti said document plays major role in waterfall model, right? If any company needs documentation, they will, yeah. See, if any company has completed their documentation, they can go for waterfall model, right? So completed means that requirement analysis is completed. So then they can go for waterfall model. Why? Because the requirement is now freezed, right? So that waterfall model is good for them. Okay.
Madam, can I add a little bit so these guys can understand a little
Yeah.
better?
So then just complete my this Milan, what he's saying. When there are too many changes on a project, then it is not a waterfall model. When you have not too many changes, correct? So not too many changes, then you can not too many changes. No, when you have no changes, then only you can go for the waterfall model. Otherwise, if there is any change, you cannot go back to the previous. As I've said, you cannot go back to the previous phase. You have to go downstairs as water flows, correct? So that's why it is a waterfall model, because water flows from top to bottom and our phases also flow from top to bottom. Yes, Gary, now you can say.
Yeah, so most of the projects, from what I understand, as much as 80%, 90% of the projects fail, meaning they don't see, it's not productional or it's not in the market. They're experimenting with something and they fail, right? Either the business fails or the project they started with, it never, materialized into something that they can use properly, they fail. It's the same reason why businesses fail too. They are pretty much similar. So it's like saying, make a user manual without the software developed, right? As you're developing product, right? How can you make a user manual? That's the same thing as documentation. So Shevji was saying, basically, after the project is finished, you can start documenting how to use, how to, deploy, how to maintain the software, things like that. But if the project is not finished, what is the point of making a user manual? No point, right? So that's what she's mentioning. After the documentation is complete, then more or less you're happy with the software. Now you can go and start documenting things, and then if it is a legacy system, obviously you have the documentation first, right? User manual, sort of, and then you create a new product with new technology with those documentation or requirement documentation. Does anyone get confused still, or?
Yes, everybody clear now? As no
Yes,
hand.
we unclear, but ma'am, as per my knowledge, when you're working in an agile environment, everything is so far the Scrum and the sprint and all that it is impossible to have a proper documentation of everything. So a lot of importance is not given to the document, rather it is important is given more that the sprint is completed within the time and all the requirements are met. So I mean, so this could be a difference between waterfall and an agile method, that in waterfall model a lot of importance is given to the documentation, whereas in agile a lot of importance is given to that we are getting the work done rather than documenting it properly.
Yeah, correct.
No, but
requirement is always there, no? Like requirement, I mean, how you will give the requirement. Okay, maybe the documentation is not as much as in waterfall, but how you will give the information from client to the what store. If you have a user story, how you will write, what you will write in the user story. That is also documentation, no? Right? So documentation is not as per what is there in the waterfall model. There are documentation in agile also. It's not like, yes, of course we give importance to the work and quality, then documentation, but still everything should be documented. All the requirements, all the conversation which you are doing in the meeting, that is also should be documented. Otherwise we will forget, right? And there could be a possibility that yes, I have said, no, I have not said. All those things will possible. So maybe for that span of time, we have to document everything, whatever. Always record your sessions when you are taking the, when you are doing your planning meeting, always record the sessions so that you can tell that this is the information you have given to us and this is how we have done the development accordingly, right? Otherwise, there could be a miscommunication. Are you getting my point? That's why document is required. Because if document is not given importance, then you might miss something, or then you might have the misunderstanding that this is the requirement. This happened in my my project. That's why I'm saying to you, this is an agile project, and sometimes clients said, no, I have said this. So we were saying, no, you have not said this. So it is better to do some documentation. Okay.
So, ma'am, were you SCM also in your project?
Sorry, can you come again?
Software configuration management or process management, you are also involved with that?
Yes. So process, like, see, that everyone is involved in that process, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So before design, we do meeting, right? Before.
Yes, before starting.
So we can we can know the requirements from customer.
Correct. So we have in agile method, we always have this phase. We always have this type of phases, right? So we do it again and again. In waterfall model, we don't do that particular requirement again and again. We have just, once the requirement is frozen, then only we go to the next part. When design is done, we again, then only we go to the development part. Okay, clear? So
basically, Chavi, what you're saying is the testers are hired later stage, not at the beginning, right? Because only after development, this testing is happening.
Right. Only after development, testing will start. In
So
this
the testers
particular way.
is hired later stage, right?
Sorry, I'm not.
The testers are hired at the latest stage, not at the beginning.
Latest stage. Okay, yeah. In this particular waterfall
Yeah.
model, right?
Yeah.
Yes, tester are hired in pretty later stage. Correct. Correct.
In waterfall methodology.
Correct.
Model.
And yes, that is also the drawback of this particular waterfall model, that testers are hired in a very later stage, and that's why defects is also come in the later point of time. So correct. You're right.
Because then the reason is we cannot go back and like in
Good.
agile
Correct.
method, testers
Right.
can still work on the like the application which is being.
And
which is-
I think it's depend on budget also, right?
Correct. Budget also. Budget also.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So this is for a small budget project. Waterfall model is basically for the small budget.
Okay.
Everyone clear? Yes, Vishnu, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I have a quick question, not regarding waterfall model. Someone just mentioned the word meeting, so I would like to know that during a project, how many type of meetings happens, like weekly meetings, daily meetings, and how do we name them? Like what type of meeting happens, and what are their roles? What happens during those meetings?
So see, that
Can I answer the questions?
yes, you can. You may.
Usually in agile environments, we have agile ceremonies. We have different types of meeting. We have a sprint planning meeting. The meeting that all dev team and Q team all together, they talk about the user stories, epic is, which is a longer feature, a big feature, and then user stories, a small feature of a document. If you think about it's like a development of a login application is an epic, then first name and last name of that page, registration page is a feature. Then they talk about the all user stories, how many user stories do we have? They're all given by product owner, and product owner says about the sprint planning meeting. After this planning meeting is done, they are doing also grooming as well, that how many stories that they're gonna pick it up to do for this one. And while they picked up the user stories, then the user stories in agile method environment goes to the board, agile board, where they show up the user stories, then every team member add to the task subtask is to start the testing. And also there's another meeting is called daily stand-up meeting, which is like for 10 or 15 minutes every day. In this meeting, the most important thing is happen here. What did you do yesterday? What we're gonna do today? And what is the defect? Was the any issue? At this meeting, they talk about the job responsibilities, the improvement, about the progress, how many user stories they've developed, how many is remaining, where are they, any defect, any integration, regression, whatever it exists, all they talk about this one. And after that, they have when the sprint is done is for 2 weeks. It depends on the company. Some companies 1 week, 2 weeks, but at least it should be 1 to 4 weeks. Then after the sprint is done, then they have another meeting. It's called retrospective meeting. At this meeting, they talk about all the sprint. Okay, how the sprints goes well or wrong. They talk about experiences. What was the drawbacks of the sprint? What was the good point of the sprint? What was the negative point? What is the positive point? They change the negative point to the positive point. There's make a mindset. Everyone is open to talk about all the issue which was happening in the previous meeting. Sprint. The most important target of this meeting is that one, because they wanted to find out how to make progress for the second sprint. And when the second retrospective meeting done, they also have a meeting, the release meeting, which talk about, okay, a portion of the developer is built, a portion of product is built and ready for release. They all come together and to meet about before releasing of this one, what feature built, how the feature works, how the feature environments, what database they use, in which environment they're gonna test. It's all about release meeting that everybody should understand about the build, the version, the product. Is like a sprint planning meeting, grooming meeting, daily stand-up meeting. Is all about the kinds of agile ceremonies that we can call them that happen in agile environment.
Good, Syed. It will be helpful if you send all the details of the meetings in the chat, like how many types of meeting are there. No, it's a good, you have good knowledge. So yeah, good.
Yeah, well explained.
Yeah.
In written
It was,
form.
Thank you.
yeah. So I just wrote down sprint planning, daily stand-up meeting, retrospective meeting, release meeting. Are there any others?
Ma'am, I have a question. I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Client will change their requirements after half of project is complete, like some of testing complete.
So yeah, they can do some changes. Of course, in Agile, that is the idea, you know. If you client has an no different understanding of that particular project, so they can change that particular area, and then again we have to implement accordingly. So that is all in the contract, that if we get some changes, we will do that in the middle of the project also, because you know client also evolve, like how this project should go, how this is a heading. So it all depends, like they can change it. Yeah, and we get frequent changes. Sometimes it happens that whatever development we have done, that they are not using, that they want something else. So this also happen in the project.
But but with the waterfall model, we cannot
No,
do that, right?
not with the waterfall model. No, just don't get confused with that background because now we are not talking about the waterfall model at all. We are now moving to the like agile, more of agile thing.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not in.
But yeah, but there is one thing. It's the minute changes like bug fixes and all that. It will be happening constantly. Sometimes the bugs will show up later. You know, it can happen in maintenance mode. It can happen in while releasing different versions. You know, it can happen anywhere. Those small changes will be happening constantly. You know, what Madam was talking about is big changes.
Yes, yes. So that changes, it happens constantly, even the major changes. That's what she was asking, like whether if the half of the development is done, then can client ask for the major changes? So yes, they can ask. They have all the rights to ask you. For that, they need to pay more. That's all. Right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they have a different model also, right?
Right,
To
right. So,
right.
So they
change
have
it.
all the rights to ask you to change this one, that one. Like that's why they have asked for the agile methodology. So in agile, they can ask for doing any type of changes. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you, ma'am.
In Agile, usually I think what they do is they create the main structure first, basically something that is without bells and whistles.
Right.
And later on they keep adding all these new features, you know. So they identify all the critical components they absolutely need right away, you know, and then they as they go along, they might discover or they might add non-important features to the project.
Right.
What could be the reason why some of the features that they want to add might not be added later? It's the budget, right? Always budget is the factor.
Yes.
So
They can
yeah.
pay more and they can ask for a number of changes. So that is not a problem. Yeah. So always there is like a contract of some, maybe whatever is the contract, accordingly they can ask for changes. Okay. Okay. So we are moving very much to the non thing. But yeah, everything is important actually. Every knowledge is important. Yeah, coming back to our normal PPT study. So next topic is our spiral model. Okay. So what is spiral model? Anyone knows what is spiral model?
In spiral model, like if the project complete, once it complete, go through all these 4 stages, then it will create one version of the document or a product. And if it will go go further, so then it will create the second
Versions.
version of the
Correct.
product. Yes.
Versions are required, right? If versions are required in any complicated project, or and what happened is the main difference is here risk analysis. Okay, so this is a new feature which is involved in spiral model is risk analysis. So if there are complicated project like Windows have so many versions, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now many versions are coming on. So that time they have a risk analysis, always risk involved in that. So for that analysis, this spiral model is the best for the for those complicated projects. Okay, so spiral model is a combination of iterative, which is an agile. Agile is always iterative development process model, and the sequential or the linear development model. Okay, so this is the combination of both. So that's why it is very much involved in that complicated projects. Okay, so what happened here is just a minute.
Hello.
She is in mute.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
छवि जी आप म्यूट पे हो.
Yeah, just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry for that. So what I was explaining is the spiral model is basically for the complicated project. Here the phases involved is planning, risk analysis, development and testing, and then evaluation. Evaluation is whatever work we have done till now, so that we have to evaluate that whether whatever we have done, suppose in the in our Windows 8 we have few features. Now in Windows 9 we have our new feature. So that is evaluation of what previous version we have, what new version we have. Okay, so that we have to evaluate from our we can say is from our previous versions, right? So that is called that's why we use spiral model in such complicated. Sorry. Wait a second. Such complicated projects. Okay. So these are all the different phases. So planning is the similar, like what planning analysis we have done. Now comes the risk analysis. As I've told you, in some complicated project, risk is always involved. Okay, so that's why risk analysis is the new feature of the spiral model. Then comes the development and testing, and then evaluation. Okay, so this is not much in use by any company, but sometimes in the interview, they ask you, do you know about the spiral model? Why they ask you? Because of this new feature, which is a risk analysis involved in this model. So just they wanted to know that whether you are aware of, that spiral model have a risk analysis feature. So just for that, they might ask you. So that's why I have included this topic in our course. Okay. Anyone has any doubts?
So in interview, what they ask about this spiral model?
They might have asked you about, do you know about the spiral model? Okay, why, in which project they might use, Okay, so you said that in the complicated project, when they have versions involved, when they have risk involved in the projects. So that time you have to just say that. They might ask you. It's not like they will ask you only, but they might ask you. What are the different phases of spiral model, like planning, risk analysis, development, testing, and evaluation. What you are doing, evaluating your result, like whatever project you have developed, you will evaluate that whether it is more powerful or whether it is more useful from the previous version. So that you have to evaluate. Okay, so that is only evaluation, meaning that you have to evaluate from your previous version that it is better than that. What all the differences you have done in that in the new version. Okay, so that all things included here. Okay, these might the questions they might ask you. That's why I've included this in our code. Okay, any doubt? Yes, anyone has raised hand? Yeah, Vishnu.
Yes. So as this diagram says, we are doing multiple times testing in this model, which is better than the waterfall model, right? But still, I believe requirements can't be changed during the project. This is also a drawback, right?
Drawback in this particular, yes, in this particular, yeah, I was about to say the drawbacks of the of this model is it's very pretty confusing, and it is like a yes, it is also outdated model, and it is not much in use, but as I told, it is sometimes used by the sometimes only it is used for some particular projects. Not everyone uses that. Yes, it is an outdated.
Yeah, madam, can I add, please?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, so this is, I think, is mostly for long projects, super long projects. Like, for example, Windows. The latest version of Windows came, and in a couple of years, this another version is going to come out. So when you have something that is never-ending project, like Windows operating system or Android operating system or Google Chrome project, so that's when I think they use this spiral model, and it's still in effect.
I mean, is it for long-term project they use?
Right. She was talking about, madam was talking about complicated projects. That's what she means by that. So where they know only what going to be released for next couple of years. They don't know what's going to be released for next 10 years, right? So they keep doing these cycles nonstop. So that new versions come in, and the customer and the end user is always happy with the new features. Yes.
Correct.
Yes. I mean, the most familiar example is nowadays people are using iPhones, so the iOS is also like they are upgrading their iOS like timely, like within 3 or 2 months.
Yes.
Correct.
So it is used for such type of projects only, and also like where similar requirements, like Windows, as I have told you, that Windows also like similar requirement, but it is going on ongoing projects. Like always, the versions will always keep on changing with the similar base is similar, but they keep on changing. So that's where this project is required. Okay.
So Chavi and Gary, so this kind of version is still in use, right? Spiral model.
It's in use, but as I said, it is very rarely used only for very much complicated project and ongoing project. If it is not for the small project, because it is very expensive. Spiral model is very expensive model, and as I told you, it's only for the ongoing project when they are going to like endless project like Windows and iPhone. Just now someone said iPhone, just which project will never end. So for those projects they use spiral model. Otherwise, it will be expensive because it involves so many other things also. So it will be more expensive for them. So that's why it is it is rarely used and outdated also. Yeah.
So the service industry are more likely to use this model rather than the product based, right?
Service based, correct. Service based industry, because product based have their they have their
End
product
goal.
ready and they wanted to market it and they wanted to sell it. So those projects, they don't use spiral model. Correct. The service based project, the service based companies mostly use this, which have their ongoing project, which are like projects which never ends in their life. So that type of project, they use spiral models. Okay, clear
Can
everyone?
you give an example of a service project?
Yeah, this only, na? Windows, we have given
Windows.
Windows. Yeah, Windows, and as Abu says,
Like
that
WhatsApp,
iPhone.
Facebook.
Sorry, yeah.
And WhatsApp and Facebook also.
WhatsApp and Facebook, that is also service based, but I'm not aware of what they are using as their model, but they don't have much of changes, right? Very few changes. This is for the version changes. They don't have much of the version changes. They don't have they are adding some features in their application, but I'm not sure like what they are using, but I'm pretty sure that maybe Windows and who have risk analysis involved, okay, because the risk analysis is the key feature of this a particular spiral model. So they don't have much risk in their in their application. When like WhatsApp and Facebook don't have much risk involved here, but Windows, they have so many features. They might have they might use their risk analysis feature also. So that's why. So according to your project, you have to choose your model. Yes. Anyone wanted to add something?
Yeah, there is also the subscription model. Does anyone know what subscription model is? They use spiral model. So for subscription, like, does anyone know the old Office, Microsoft Office? It used to pay for version. That's it. Now they're charging monthly something. Yes. So subscription, there are a whole bunch of people who are subscribing and then spending tons of money every month. Companies getting tons of money every month for using certain services. So the company puts it in spiral model because they have endless budget.
Correct. So subscription means also like even the tools are also subscription, like QTP. QTP tools is a paid tool. Also, like why Selenium is so much popular? Because it is a free and open source. You don't have to pay, right? And a subscription means you have to pay, like you take weekly monthly subscription of your Netflix, right? So it is like you have to pay for that. Every time you have to pay, right, Gary? Am I
right, monthly or annually?
Yeah,
monthly,
payment,
annually,
right?
or quarterly, they pay. Yeah.
Quarterly or monthly or accordingly, whatever is their process. So they pay. So that is called a subscription, right? So
like Skype, if anyone knows Skype, they used to be you fill certain amount of money, and now they're pushing. Microsoft bought Skype, and now they're doing monthly only. Mostly they're pushing for monthly. I don't think there is a prepay option much. They used to have tons of prepay options. Now there is only very limited prepay option, and they're pushing you with heavy features for monthly option.
Right. Okay, good discussion. So everyone clear with this particular spiral model? You can go revise yourself, and then we can also come to that point. Now coming to the next topic, which is principles of testing. So this is a assignment for everyone. So next class we will discuss about this. Go and study about this particular topic, principles of testing. Then we will discuss about this particular topic. Okay, so principle of testing, you have to do it by yourself. Then we will discuss. Next is verification, validation. We have only 10 minutes left, so I will just explain this and then we will do this in the next class also. Okay, don't worry about that. So verification and validation. What is verification and validation? There's a difference between verification and validation. What is the difference? Anyone can tell? So verification is when you are verifying, like suppose you are verifying from the documents, like whether your documents is properly done or not. Verifying is mostly of a static thing. Okay, static means you are doing it without running any code. Okay, so you have to find out that what is the difference between static and dynamic. Okay, who are very new to this particular area, like testing area, they have to note down few of the things which I wanted to learn by yourself. Okay, so yes, verification is checking. Checking is very vague term, like verifying. Okay, so what is the difference between verification and validation? You have to check it out. And other thing is, what is the difference between a static and dynamic? You have to check out. Okay, you have to study. And the other thing is like, yes. So now coming to this particular topic, verification and validation. So here, the left side, you can say that this is a verification, and the right side you can say that it's a validation. Why it is said? Because this we are actually doing some what you can say, dynamic.
Correction.
Like we are yes, Priya, you first I will explain, then you ask questions. Your questions are always welcome. Okay, first let me explain everything, then you can ask as many questions as you want. So first thing is user requirement. Okay, so once as we have done with our SDLC, software development, so that time only we have learned that we gathered the information, all the requirements, right? So all the specification. But what is the beauty of this verification and validation model, which is V model? That tester is involved at the very first stage of our requirement gathering analysis. So very first stage is what? Requirement and gathering and information. So tester is involved in the very first stage, and they start writing the user acceptance test cases. Okay, they are developing. They are not executing, they are just developing according to the requirement. Okay, so here in the V model, testers are involved at the very beginning stages. Okay, then comes the software specification. What is for software specification? Like designing, documenting, everything. Okay, so that is a software specification when we are the second phase of our SDLC. So that time we have to design our document, what all things you needed, how many modules, as I've explained you earlier. So that phase comes here. And side by side, our tester are going to write their system test cases. Okay, side by side, they are writing our system test cases. Then second phase of the verification is high level designing. High level designing is again how many all the map, as someone said that we are designing our documents, like how many classes needs to be created, how many parent class, child class, each and everything they do in the high level design. And similarly, integration testing, right? So once the module has been created, now we have to integrate it. So integration test cases development is going to be happen in this particular phase. Okay, so we are just developing, we are writing our test cases, not executing. Okay, Now comes the low level design. So all the high level design is done. Then the low level design, that which part of coding is done by which developer. Okay, so they assign all the things to the developers and they are now start coding. So all the junior developers, senior developers start their coding. Okay, now the coding has been started. Once the coding has been done, they do their unit testing. Okay, now comes the validation part has been started. Okay, so here only verification of the document, verification of the high level designing, whether you are designing properly or not, your specification, your all the different artifacts that you are properly creating it or not, verified by the BA, verified by the architecture, all verification has been done here. Now comes the validation. Validation means whether your user requirement matching the actual requirement. Okay, so actual and expected should match. Okay, so whatever is the expectation, it should match here in your unit testing, which is done mostly by the developer. Okay, then once your unit testing is done, it will given to the tester for the integration testing. Then whatever tester has created their test cases, okay, they have created, now they will execute it. Okay, validate that whether this particular coding, whatever is done by the developer is correct or not. Then integration means different modules they test and then integrate it and then do the integration testing. Then whole system is completed, then they do system testing. Okay, and then after that it will be after that, once you are done with all the testing, system testing, it will go to the acceptance testing, which is done by the either done by the tester or done by the client or the user. Okay, so acceptance testing is mostly done by the client. Okay, so now you can shoot your question. What are questions you have? I'm done with my V model. So yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Shari. Can we say that in the verification stage, we are just creating the requirements, or we can say the standard documents, and in the validation stage, we are just validate that all the process
correct
by testing, right?
Correct. Right. Validation means we are executing something. That is the difference between static and dynamic. Static means we are not executing anything. And dynamic means we are running something. We are, verifying the application. We are not verifying the document. We are validating the application and we are validating that whether it is requirement and actual is matching or not. Okay.
It's a kind of like first is a theoretical and then this is practical, right?
You can say that.
Let me clarify, Matt. Let me clarify a little bit here.
Yes.
I think so. A static is basically a newspaper or a magazine or a pamphlet, right? So the data doesn't change in the background. On the screen, the data doesn't change. Whether you go to the 5th page or 10th page, or it's you who goes in there or someone else goes in there, pages will be the same, right? And dynamic is where you're telling the system something, right? Pressing a button like Facebook or something else, and screen is different for everybody, right? Depending on what I'm clicking, I'm getting my results. Depending on what you're clicking, you're getting your results. That's more like that dynamic. Basically, the screen, the data is changing all the time.
Yes, that is dynamic. When data is changing all the time means you are executing something, right? Gary, that's how it is. That's how it is said, that when you are changing something, when you are executing it, when you are following some path, or when you are giving some instructions to your code, so that time you are changing, right? So that time whether your actual requirement and the expected requirement, actual means what, which you are doing right now by changing the code, by changing the your instructions which you give to the application. right? So that is your actual, and what is expected, which is given by the client in the documents. You have prepared the documents, so that is your expected. So you have to match that, whether the expected is matching with your actual or not. So all this thing is only this, that your expected should match your actual. If it is not matching, you will raise a defect, right? So
static has one more feature that you'll understand a little better. Static doesn't have database. Static doesn't have backend.
Correct.
Only front end. Right? Because there is nothing to, no software is like giving feedback constantly because pages are fixed.
Right, but you can check your in database also, like you in static you can check your database, like you can check your data which you wanted to give it in your application. So that also comes in the static part, but I mean, you have to check your data also, right, Gary? Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But mostly they don't use database because database, what happens is every time they use a database is extra services, right? So that is, you need a database admin, you need a database, architect, and then there you need a subscription you need to pay for Oracle or whatever the database they're using. So when it's static, usually they do not use databases. But yes, it can happen that database can be used.
Yeah, because when you are preparing your documents, your high-level documents, that time you also look for the data also, because preparing data is also a part of designing, because that is
So
also
what?
very important.
Yeah, some of the reasons why they would use database in static pages is if the data is too much, right? It's a huge library of something, right? Let's say FBI is tracking everyone's details, right? They'll put it in the database because instantaneously you can get the info, right? If you have huge files in your computer, what happens? It crashes or its computer becomes very slow. But database knows how to handle it. So they put it in a database separate from the system. So system performance doesn't go down. So usually when there is a data is too much, right? They can, in static pages also, they can use databases.
Right. Very well said. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other doubt in this V model? Because it's very important model, and sometimes it is asked like what all phases involved in V model, and you always say that verification and validation go hand in hand. Okay, because this is all the idea about V model. It should test case creation or test case preparation is started from the very beginning of the process. Okay, so very beginning of the process it will start, and the testing people are also involved from the very beginning in this particular model. Okay, so clear, everyone? So
I have one question.
Yes.
So earlier someone asked that database is server, right? But you said no, it's not a server. But according to the Gary's explanation, it says itself a database is server.
Yeah, it is a server. It is a service. But what I said was usually they do not use database, right?
Okay.
Or usually they do not have a backend servers, right? Usually, right? There is always an exception, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank
See,
you.
what do you mean by server? Can someone explain what do you mean by a server? This could be the last topic. I know it's late for you. So yeah, what is server?
Server is for example, we create some folders, and for example, we created one Excel sheet and we put in a server.
Correct.
And we can operate it from any computer,
anywhere you can operate.
anywhere.
Right? So
yes,
server is the environment which we have created so that we can use it from anywhere. So obviously server has everything. They have database also, they have environment also, they have application also. So server is basically a URL, correct? So URL where you can operate from anywhere, any point of time. So that
Without
involves
a
everything.
network.
Network. It's a network.
Server
Is a network.
Okay.
Yes. So it involves everything. It involves database also. It involves application also. It involves, environment also. So everything is involved in the server. So server, if you say server is a database, that is like a half statement. Of course, server has database also, but server is all the information also about the application also, about the, are you getting my point, everyone?
Madam?
Still I get confused. You said like someone asked that server you can operate the server without network. So how can it possible like without
Yeah,
network?
if you are in your local, then you can operate it if it is in your system, your database is in your system. So you can just write a query and you can access it from your whatever repository you have used, correct? Either you have used tables, you have
Can I
used it
explain
as
the
a,
server for them?
sorry?
Can I say something about server? Sorry,
Yeah,
ma'am.
go ahead, Sayed.
Server is like a virtual machine where you can save all your data in different and you can access in different places. We have different type of server. We have web server, we have application server, we have proxy server, we have mail server, and also we have like virtual server. It depends on project and application. For example, in application server, your computer distribute all your application through your providers for your computers, your programmings. All this called application server. For example, you install one application, for example, Agile, then everybody in team member access to that Agile. That's an application server. Or for example, proxy server is intermediary between the endpoint devices. For example, you want your computer connect with other database that you have in a application. For example, two people work in a team testing. They work all from home, remote. Also, they all connected to the proxy server because your computer connect to the endpoint device and your colleague partner, which is a tester, also connect an endpoint device. You all do both your job independently. Then server is like a virtual machine that it can hold or store or maintain different kinds of application and they use different purposes. Like we have web server, we have application server, we have proxy server, we have mail server. They have their own uses that they can use based on their program nature and project nature.
I think it's a long explanation, but if anyone has searched the Google, you'll see it's nothing but a computer program or device that provides services to another computer or user.
Yeah, that's the smallest one.
Okay. Can I
Yes.
consider Google Drive as for the example of this?
So usually server, has a whole set of things, which Madam was saying, environment. One is security, right? Let's say there is a internal website, which means outside people cannot see it, right? So it's secured within that. So there is security, there is a file server, meaning, see, if in your computer, there is a limited space, how much disks you can put it in there in terms of for data, right? But in file servers, what happens is that bunch of disks you keep adding, right? You can keep adding, and they maintain separately, right? One disk fails, you don't have to shut down the whole computer, right? So, right. So there are different kinds of servers, like how other guy was explaining. But anyway, there is like one unit, you see, and basically when you follow the server system, right? Your computer or the requesting computer doesn't have to worry anything about how things are done, right? All you do is send a command saying, send me this information, or send me email, or send me these pictures that I asked on a Google Drive, right? And it nicely sends to you. But your computer doesn't know what it's doing in the background, right? That's the whole point of server. So it's you send a small command there, and it sends you all the information you're looking for. So that's the whole idea of server being. So what they want to do is isolate complication from an end user. So they keep it in a different place, and also load, right? If on your PC, if 1 million people keep asking for information, your PC is going to die right away, right? The servers are usually robust, so they can serve thousands and millions of people if you
It's a
want.
kind of endless.
Well, you can keep adding more, like say you need more processor because there is too much demand. The maintenance guys or the integration guys or the management will decide to add more processors, more memory, whatever they need to add, or more network. So it becomes more easily manageable by the service providers, like Netflix, right? Each movie is like 2 gigabytes. Nowadays, it's all high def movies, 2 to 5 gigabytes of movie. So imagine, million movies into 5 gigabytes, right? Huge amount of data you're talking about.
Yes.
And if it is on your PC won't even hold few movies. Yes. So that's the whole idea of server. Server is nothing but, you send a command and it sends you information. And it worries about, it has environment where it worries about itself. There's a team that is working on it all the time to keep it updated.
Yeah. And another name for server is called client, is easily like client server application, we call it.
No, server is different, client is different. Client is you, client is user.
Yeah.
Right? Server is the one that is providing the service. So client will be the one who is sending the command to the server, and server will say, I'm your genie. I'm sending your information right here. There you go.
Right.
Right?
I got it.
Yes, very well said. So all the doubts have been cleared?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So we'll stop here right now and